There comes a moment in some people's lives when hope doesn't die loudly, but quietly like a candle, smothered by its own wax. And from that moment on, they stop expecting anything from life. Not because they don't want more, but because life has convinced them they shouldn't. There is a certain kind of silence that doesn't come from peace, but from exhaustion, the kind of exhaustion that sinks into you so deeply it becomes the way you breathe, the way you move, the way you look at the world. And if you've ever met someone who expects nothing from life anymore, you'll notice that silence in them, even if they never say a word. It's in the paused heartbeat between their sentences. It's in the way they smile with just the surface of their face. It's in the way their eyes flicker as if checking, one last time, whether there's something left in this world meant for them, only to realize, no, not really. People imagine that despair is loud, dramatic, attention-seeking. But the truth is far more quiet, far more ordinary, far more familiar. There are people walking around right now, people you see every day, who carry a kind of disappointment that's been packed down so tightly inside them that it has turned into a numbness. A soft, almost tender acceptance that nothing good is coming, and perhaps nothing good ever will. They still wake up, they still shower, they still answer messages, they still show up to work, they still laugh at jokes that don't touch them anymore. But inside, something is missing. Something that used to pull them forward. Something that used to believe. These are the people who learned, either suddenly or slowly, that hoping too loudly is dangerous. That expectation is a doorway that swings both ways, and they have walked into it enough times to know the sting of hitting the frame. They have tasted disappointment in doses too large for the human heart. And the heart, remarkable as it is, can only break quietly so many times before it begins to adapt, before it begins to shut itself down for survival. If you asked them when it happened, when the shift occurred, they wouldn't know how to answer. There is never just one moment, one heartbreak, one failure. It's always an accumulation, small things, big things, the things they never admit out loud. It's the job that drained the last of their potential. It's the relationship where they gave everything and received crumbs in return. It's the childhood where expectations were met with absence. It's the friendships where they were always the therapist, never the patient. It's the nights spent staring at ceilings, wondering why life feels so heavy before it even begins. It's the dreams they buried before they had the chance to bloom. You see, the pain of people who expect nothing anymore is not the pain of longing. It's the pain of having longed too much, too deeply, too earnestly, and being met with silence. These people often appear calm, too calm, as if nothing can shake them anymore. And in a way, nothing can. Not because they're strong, but because they've stopped believing anything will change. Their emotional baseline has settled into a kind of quiet flatness. Not misery, not joy, just neutral. The colorless middle ground where nothing hurts because nothing reaches them, but there's something hauntingly human about them. Something raw. Something almost noble. Because expecting nothing is not the same as wanting nothing. They want plenty. They just no longer believe they deserve it or that the world is capable of giving it. It's a strange way to exist. Moving through life with your hands open, but your heart closed. Observing happiness from a distance, as if it's a foreign language you once knew, but forgot how to speak. Watching other people move with a sense of purpose, of anticipation, of hope, and feeling like an outsider in your own story. As if you're living in grayscale, while everyone else lives in color. And what's even sadder is that most of these people are gentle, tender, soft in ways the world never cared to notice. They are the kind of souls who feel too much, too deeply, too sincerely. The kind of souls who get hurt easily, because they care easily. They used to love loudly. They used to show up. They used to dream recklessly. They used to expect goodness, because they genuinely believed life had some to offer them. But life has a strange way of taking the brightest people and dimming them slowly. Not out of malice, not out of cruelty, but simply through the relentless, grinding erosion of unmet hopes. The people who expect nothing anymore are not bitter. They're not resentful. They're not hateful. They're tired. God, they are tired. Tired of trying. Tired of waiting. Tired of being the one who keeps believing, even after everything falls apart again. Tired of carrying the weight of their own heart. And so, at some point, the heart does what the mind could never do. Gives up quietly. It stops reaching. It stops imagining. It stops expecting. It simply rests, not peacefully, not joyfully, just in a state of emotional suspension. They begin to move through life on autopilot, not because they want to, but because it's easier. Routine becomes a kind of anesthesia. The predictability of chores, schedules, and obligations becomes a shield against disappointment. If you expect nothing, you cannot be hurt by anything. But there's a hidden cost to this numbness, one they rarely admit. The death of anticipation. The loss of that small, precious spark that makes life feel more than survival. Without expectation, time becomes a hallway with no doors. Days bleed into nights. Weeks dissolve into years. Everything feels the same, even when it isn't. And yet, they survive, they adapt, they function. They become experts at pretending. Experts at wearing normalcy like a mask. Experts at blending into a world that moves too fast to notice the people who've quietly stopped running. If you look closely, you'll see them everywhere. The friend who shrugs when you ask about their dreams. The coworker who no longer argues for a raise or a promotion because they don't think it matters. The partner who says, "It's fine," even when something inside them is clearly breaking. The parent who works, cooks, cleans, and collapses without expecting gratitude. The young person who feels old inside. The old person who still feels the sting of childhood disappointments. The student who used to have big plans but now just wants to get through the day. The quiet one. The tired one. The one who never asks for anything. The one who used to shine. There is a quiet tragedy in people who expect nothing from life anymore. They didn't become this way naturally. They were made, piece by piece. Disappointment by disappointment. Neglect by neglect. Heartbreak by heartbreak. Silence by silence. One unanswered need at a time. But here's the part no one talks about. Letting go of expectations does not erase the desire for something better. It only buries it. Deep, deep down. Like a seed trapped under concrete, still alive, still breathing, still waiting for something to crack the surface. And every once in a while, when they're alone, when the world is quiet, when the distractions fade, that buried seed stirs. They feel a flicker of longing, a whisper of the person they used to be, a shadow of a dream they once believed in. But just as quickly as it appears, they smother it. Not out of fear, not anymore, but out of habit. A practiced reflex born from survival. Hope is dangerous, they remind themselves. Hope is expensive. Hope is the most painful currency we have. So they trade it for numbness, for calm, for the safety of expecting nothing. But the human heart is stubborn. It was not designed to stop wanting. It aches, even in silence. It asks, even when denied. It breaks, even without permission. And somewhere inside these people, beneath the fatigue, the disappointment, the numbness, there is still a pulse, weak, faint, but present, waiting for something, anything, to prove that life still has something left for them. If you've ever felt this way, you're not broken. You're not dramatic. You're not ungrateful. You are simply human in a world that repeatedly forgets how fragile humans can be. And there is something quietly heroic about you. Because expecting nothing is not the same as giving up. It's a way of protecting yourself in a world that has not handled you gently. It's a form of self-preservation wrapped in resignation. A shield disguised as surrender. Yet even shields crack eventually. Even concrete breaks. Even numbness melts. And here is the deepest truth, one that may hurt, but also may heal. People who expect nothing anymore are often the ones who once expected everything. The dreamers, the believers, the hopeful ones, the ones who gave without limits, the ones who loved without fear, the ones who kept going long after the world stopped clapping. Their quiet pain is not the pain of emptiness. It is the pain of having been full once and losing that fullness in ways they can never fully explain. If you've ever been one of them, if you are one of them, then hear this: your heart is not done. Your story is not finished. Your numbness is not permanent. Your lack of expectation is not a flaw. It is a scar. And scars are proof that wounds can close, even when they leave marks. You do not need to expect anything right now. You do not need to hope. You do not need to force yourself back into light. You only need to breathe, to exist, to rest, to allow the possibility, however distant, that life may still surprise you in ways you cannot imagine. Because the truth is, people who expect nothing anymore are often the ones life returns to most unexpectedly. Not because they earned it, not because they manifested it, but because life, in its strange, unpredictable way, always circles back to the quiet ones eventually. And one day, maybe not today, maybe not soon, you will feel something again. Not a spark, not a fire, just a warmth. A soft, gentle warmth that feels like a reminder. You are still here. You are still capable of wanting. You are still allowed to hope. And when that day comes, don't force it away. Let it sit with you. Let it breathe. Let it grow slowly. Let it be small. Let it be real. Because the quiet pain of expecting nothing is not the end of your story. It is the middle, the heavy middle. The shadow before the shift. The silence before the return of sound. And maybe, just maybe this time, life will meet you halfway.